Okay, we are at Walmart to get our online grocery pickup because today we are going to be making a month's worth of my dog's raw food, and it's this whole process. It takes like 2 hours. I've got like a meat grinder. We're gonna film the process because I think it's interesting. Some other people out there might find it interesting. So yeah, we're gonna get these groceries, and then when we get home, I'll go over everything that I bought.
For you.
Baby, stay. Mwah. Okay. Bagels. Do you want to go 50-50?
Sure.
I got... Oh my gosh. Look at how good that looks.
That does look good.
Hopefully the camera picked that up. This is sausage, egg, and cheese on jalapeno cheddar. It's like good enough to be on a commercial. I'm taking half of hers. People don't talk about this, about how one of the biggest benefits of having a girlfriend / boyfriend is that you can just order two completely different dishes that you couldn't justify ordering both if you were single to try both, but since you have a partner, you can order something else, and then just splitting it 50-50.
Thank you.
So she gets to try both, and I get to try both. And then...
Oh no.
It's my birthday weekend. I'm turning an unidentified age on Monday, February 13th. So we're getting a little crazy this weekend. We're gonna celebrate with a Coke Zero.
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m. because we're feeling wild today. We got jalapeno cheddar bagels. That was really good. Wash down a Coke
Chase it
Zero.
with some coffee.
Ladies and gentlemen, you do not see that every day. Okay, here are all the ingredients that I put in the dog's food for a whole entire month. So on top of all of the chicken leg quarters, we do 40 pounds of chicken leg quarters, as well as 10 pounds of ground beef. And then for like, look at my fingers, can you see how blue that is with the blueberries? On top of all of that, for their vitamins and minerals, we do blueberries, so I'll add a whole bag of that. And then for probiotics, we do plain yogurt, not like vanilla or anything like that, as well as 100% pure pumpkin. Not like, you cannot give your dog pumpkin pie filling because it has a bunch of sugar and stuff in it, but 100% pumpkin, where the only ingredient is pumpkin, is great for their stomach and digestive tract. Already ground up the carrots. Have to grind those up because dogs make an absolute mess of carrots if you give them to them whole, and I don't want to clean that up, so I ground that into the mixture. And then once we throw all of that in there, you just gotta get down and dirty with your hands and mix it until it's thoroughly mixed. We also put in beef liver with the meat mixture of chicken. Ugh.
Good dog, Dad.
If you are not someone who enjoys weird textures on your fingers or your sensory nerves, you are not going to be able to do this because it does not feel very pleasant. I mean, with the mixture of like ground up bone and like coarse carrots and slimy yogurt, it's like some ASMR action. You can go ahead and put this on put this on before you go to bed for some white noise. So if you like ASMR, you can just click on this video and loop the sound of me hand mixing ground raw frozen meat. That'll put you right to sleep. Okay, we lay out 30 dishes. This is 14 right here, but we lay out 30 total, and then we just do a dollop. I used to weigh each of these to make sure that it's 2 pounds, but I've been doing it for 2 years, so I can kind of just eyeball it now, and I know when they have enough food for the day. That way it's 1 pound for Atlas, 1 pound for Kato, and then we put a top on them, throw them in the freezer, and then we thaw them out every single day for the boys' dinner. Delish. Okay, this is the dog's favorite part of when we prep. Atlas gets to lick the bowl clean, just as if he's our human child and we made cookie dough, and he gets to lick the spoon, but instead it's raw meat. And then Kato gets this little bowl of leftovers that there wasn't enough. Hey-o! You're a good boy. That's my Magoo. That's a good boy. Okay, so if you clicked on this video, there's a pretty good chance that you, or maybe someone you know, might be interested in switching their dog from kibble to feeding them raw. I don't by any means hold myself out as an expert in this field of diet and nutrition for canine companions. However, I will say that I do have experience, and I've been feeding my Rottweiler and my German Shepherd raw since their birth. The first year of my Rottweiler's life, when he was an only dog, I had the money to be able to feed him 100% raw. He ate 2 pounds of raw food a day. But then when I got my second dog, to keep things within my budget, I fed them 1 meal kibble and 1 meal rock. Hey buddy, what you do? What you doing, huh? That's a cute German Shepherd boy. That's a cute German Shepherd guy. Yes, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you. Okay, alright. You want to tell them about your diet? Do you want to tell them how much you love eating raw food? Oh my goodness, it's the best, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it's the best. Yeah, we hate kibble. We hate kibble. We only eat it so we can afford raw food. That's a good boy. That's a good guy. That's a cuddly Kato. Okay, let me finish filming this. So yeah, I've been doing this consistently without any breaks for 2 years. I've tried a lot of different things, and I've sort of just been trying to perfect it in the process along the way. When I first started out, I was feeding my Rottweiler, Atlas. I was taking whole chicken leg quarters and smashing them up with a tenderizer to break the bones, and then I was feeding him, I was cutting up liver and beef heart, beef kidney, feeding chicken feet, all sorts of different stuff. And I was feeding that whole, and I was making him eat the bone and grind it himself. And I had been doing this since he was a puppy, so he knew how to thoroughly chew his food and swallow it, that way he didn't choke. I was sort of weighing all that out, so that way I made sure he got the correct portions of muscle meat and bone and organ meat. It was just a messy process for me to actually feed him. I was always having to supervise him while he was eating, so then I made the purchase of getting a commercial meat grinder, and then I started experimenting with that and different recipes and grinding his chicken leg quarters up and adding vegetables and fruits. So yeah, I've been doing this a long time. I've been trying a lot of different things out. So even though obviously I'm not an expert, I do think that after 2 years of consistency, I do have an opinion on feeding raw that I would like to share with anyone watching this video. I love feeding raw. The reason why I made the decision to feed my 2 dogs raw food was a decision I made when my last dog passed away. I was raised with 7 Rottweilers growing up. My parents would bring home rescue Rottweilers and we would foster them. And we owned 7 throughout the course of my life before I graduated college and got my own dogs. And we fed all of those dogs kibble. And almost all of them died for reasons that I particularly did not think a dog should be dying from. Tumors and cancers and kidney failure. Here's my guy. No, there's my guy. Dog number 2. Dog number 2 coming for the spotlight. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Alright, you gotta let me film. You gotta let me film. Come on. Come on. Let me film. We'll cuddle later. Sorry, I've got a bunch of needy dogs around me that I'm petting under the table while filming this. My parents' dogs that I was raised with and that I deeply loved and cared for, they were just dying of all of these reasons that just didn't make any sense to me. Sort of the dying of problems that wolves don't really encounter in the wild all that much. So I fell down all these rabbit holes and started purchasing books and reading peer-reviewed articles online of the benefits of feeding your dog raw. And long story short, I made the decision for myself that when I purchased my first dog, I was going to feed them raw because I felt compelled by the things I read online and the books that I read and the magazine articles. I felt compelled that there was something wrong with the current dog food industry and the ways that we're feeding our dogs. I remember I was working at Walmart stocking shelves at the time, and I remember stocking the shelves and there would be like a 30 or 40 pound bag of dog food selling for like $10 or $15. Things like Gravy Train and Old Roy that are just really cheap, artificially colored, disgusting looking dog foods. And I just remember stocking the shelves with these big bags of cheap dog food and looking at them and being like, some people feed their dogs this for their whole entire lifespan. And no wonder why they end up dying of cancer or tumorous growth or kidney failure. So that's the reason why I chose to feed my dogs raw. I think maybe everyone has different reasons for doing it. But I just wanted to quickly address in this video that the 2 biggest deterrents for feeding your dog raw, or at least what was hard for me to cope with, is the price and the time it takes to adequately prepare it. If those are your two concerns, then I just kind of want to set your mind at ease by explaining it logically. I'm gonna go ahead and put up 2 commercial raw dog food brands on the screen right now, and you can just take a look at what the screen says. I was kind of just perusing it. I looked at a bunch of commercial raw dog food brands when I got into this because I wanted to find some sort of way where I didn't have to put in the time to do it myself. I just wanted to, save time and outsource the making of the food to someone else, order it, get it shipped to my house. We live in this age where we want everything to be convenient and to arrive at our doorstep without us having to do anything or exert any effort. But I realized, with a 95-pound Rottweiler and a 95-pound German Shepherd, there is just absolutely no way, unless you're in commercial banking and make 6 figures and you just don't really have a concept of budgeting or what money is, then there's just no way that you can afford to feed 2 grown large dogs on raw food. Now, I don't have any experience with smaller dogs. I hear that it's extremely affordable if you have like a Pomeranian or Chihuahua or a smaller teacup-sized dog. Then feeding raw through commercial branding is affordable. However, that is not my experience, and I just refuse to spend that much money on spending that much money when I could really just make the same thing almost better and save money just by sacrificing like 2 hours on a weekend and end up making enough food to last me a whole entire month for both my dogs. I think one of the dog food companies that I'm putting on the screen right now says it's like $3 and some cents for a meal, but that was with a 60% off coupon. it crossed out the fact that per meal it would have been like $7 a day or something like that, just to feed my one Rottweiler. So if I had to do that for my German Shepherd 2, that'd be $14 a day, times that by 30 days a month, and I'm basically broke by the time you do that calculation. But you should not worry. Everything that I just bought and ground up and prepared for my dogs that will last them a whole entire month of one meal a day cost me $100 from Walmart. So I don't think that is that unreasonable. Plus, when I add their kibble bag on top of it, it's $160 a month, which might sound expensive when you think about the fact that some people only buy a $30 bag of food for their dog per month. But when I think of it in terms of I spend probably $300 to $400 a month on myself in groceries, there's just no justification for why you shouldn't spend that money on your dogs. If you love them and they give you as much joy in your life as you claim they do, work overtime if you don't have the money, you know? Like, especially when you compare it to some of these commercial brands where it will cost you $300, $400, $450 for the same amount of food. I think $160 is not that big of a punch on our budgets. And then the second inconvenient thing is the fact that you will have to sacrifice 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday or a day off from work to where you can have the time to lay everything out, grind it up, package it in meal prep Tupperwares, and then freeze it all. And you don't even have to grind it up. I mean, if you want to be someone who gives their dog a whole chicken leg quarter and you do it properly and you mash it up for them so that you break the bone and they know how to chew it without choking on it, then that's perfectly fine. Because, of course, a meat grinder can be expensive. But I just found personally that grinding the meat down and mixing it together with everything was the best way to store it in my particular condition, but to each his own. Everyone has their preferences, and after not grinding food for a year with my Rottweiler and then getting my German Shepherd, I just found that spending the money on a meat grinder just made sense in my situation. I think everyone who can should feed their dogs raw. I think it has great health benefits. Obviously, I won't know the full health benefits until either one of these dogs gets a little older. Atlas, my Rottweiler, is about to be 3. Kato is only like 1.5, so they're young and healthy anyway. However, I think it'll speak volumes to see how their health progresses as they get older, and I'll be keeping a close watch on that. As always, you should do your own research. I don't necessarily recommend asking your vet if it's the best diet for your dog, because a lot of veterinarians are heavily opposed to feeding your dogs raw. I remember I received a lot of backlash from multiple vets that I took my dogs to when I made the decision to switch them over, saying it was going to give them salmonella, stomach problems, and my dogs, quite frankly, have never had any sort of lasting stomach issues or viruses from germs that resulted from them eating raw dog food. I just think that veterinarians have certain nutritional classes that make them wary of feeding your dogs raw incorrectly. I think that if you don't give them all the nutrients and minerals that they're needing, then it can be a dangerous diet. But I think that if you do your own research and you really look into it, and it's not something that you're doing impulsively, just one random weekend without looking into it, but that you truly dedicate your time to learning how to do this and to do it correctly, then I think it will pay off in dividends in your dog's health, their enjoyment of life, in your own relationship. I think taking the time and spending the money to be able to do this does truly actually end up making you appreciate your relationship with your dog more, because it's demanding more out of you, but in my opinion that makes it worth it. It makes me think of like my dad. When my dad taught me to change my own oil in my own car instead of taking it to a Jiffy Lube or the dealership, he taught me that it was gonna make me appreciate my car that much more, because you ultimately end up learning more about your car and what fuels it, and you feel more a part of the machine that you drive on a daily basis. That kind of principle transfers over to this as well, where when you're working really hard to ensure your dog's health and safety and wellness, then you kind of discover a newfound love and enjoyment than you would if you just bought a cheap bag of kibble and threw down 2 cups of it every day at every meal. If you have any questions, feel free to just put them in the comments below. I know that switching your dog to this kind of a diet can be overwhelming at first, so I'm here to help, and there's plenty of other YouTubers out there that you can watch their videos, and they have super informational guides to get started with feeding your dog raw.